Kia ora, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name's Renee. I like to read books and then talk about them on the internet. I am filming back-to-back videos because I need to bank up some videos for you guys. So please just ignore the fact that you're going to see this repeated over the next few weeks. Today I thought it would be fun to do the mid-year freakout tag and a little reading check-in, because we all know that I've set myself a lot of lofty reading goals this year and I need to check in. I need to be held accountable, you know. I need someone to be like, hey, what's going on? You're not doing well. Like, how can we help? Yeah, no, this is just a good way for me to hold myself accountable, make sure that I'm on track, because I'm trying to achieve things this year, and even though it's not all about numbers this year, it kind of is for me. I want to read 100 books and that's what I'm going to try and do. Let's just soldier on ahead and try to see if we can make a miracle happen, okay guys? So first we're going to do the mid-year freakout tag questions, things, prompts, and then I will do the little check-in. Awesome, let's get into it. Okay, first up, we have best book of the year so far. I think I still have to say How to Loiter in a Turf War by Coco Solid. I have spoken about this book at any chance I can. Anytime this question pops up, that is the answer. So you know she's a solid read. See what I did there? Solid, Coco Solid. That's the author. So yeah, I'm in a silly, weird mood right now. I highly recommend that anyone who can get their hands on this book does read it. It is a New Zealand published book, but you should be able to find it if you really want to read it. And if you do really read it, I'll be your best friend forever. I think if you are at all interested in reading fictional stories that have themes of gentrification and how those look in a contemporary setting through an Indigenous people lens, then this is definitely the book for you. It's fun, it's familiar for me, it looks at art and creativity as a healthy form of dealing with understanding colonization and the traumatic effects that it can have on groups of people and the ways in which it seeps through social settings and societal structures. Yeah, it's so political yet so approachable and so funny. I always say that it's funny, but it is funny. It just is such the perfect book, and it's not too long. It manages to tap into exactly what it is trying to say so early on and upholds that throughout the story and never goes off or tries to do too much. It is just the perfect amount. It is brilliant, and I think you should read it. So please read it. Make me happy. Next is best sequel. I have not read any series or sequels or books that would be obvious answers to this question, but I am going to say that I think The Red Parts by Maggie Nelson acts as a sequel to Jane by Maggie Nelson. Jane is a poetry prose collection written about Maggie Nelson's aunt Jane, who was murdered in the 60s, and that murder remained unsolved. The Red Parts is kind of a sequel to that, where the case has been reopened because they have a new suspect, and The Red Parts is very much the trial of this suspect and goes into a lot more detail and specifics around Jane's murder. I thought it was really good. I thought it took an interesting look at like America's obsession with true crime and the murdered white woman. I think Maggie Nelson was able to offer a lot of her own personal details about herself and her own dealings with grief outside of what was happening with Jane's trial. There was an interesting connection between the two because Jane died before Maggie Nelson was alive or born, so they'd never met. So there's this interesting connection that she has to this person while also being quite disconnected. She is able to talk about this trial in quite an objective way, which is interesting, while at the same time offering up a lot of personal bits and, you know, being alongside her mother and supporting her in this as well. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And I feel like it could be a sequel, although it's not traditionally a sequel. What is a new release that you want to read? I want to read many new releases. I feel like this year I've been a lot better at reading books that I buy that I want to read there and then. Like, I've kind of just picked things up, but there are a few that I haven't read yet that are kind of new releases. Biography of X by Catherine Lacey is one. The Birthday Party by Laurent Mauvignier is another. Kick the Latch by Catherine Scanlon. I think that was technically released last year, but I got it this year, and I think it came out here this year, so I'm really looking forward to reading that. Is Mother Dead by Vigdis Hjorth is the other one that I'm really looking forward to reading. Yeah, and those are my new releases. Lance has just walked in and he's got a stick! Yeah, those are the new release books that I'm really looking forward to reading sometime soon, hopefully. What is my most anticipated new release this year? I mean, I have to say The Fraud by Zadie Smith. I cannot wait to read that book. I need it in my hands now. I'm so sad to anyone that has an arc of it, because I really don't like you at the moment. No, just kidding. I just would really like to read this book as soon as I possibly can. And I know it's probably not going to be for a few months till it's released here. Okay, next is biggest disappointment. I had 2 different answers for this prompt in the last check-in, but since then I've gained 2 more. They are Beach Read by Emily Henry and The Hex by Jenny Fagan. I spoke about both these books in my last April reading wrap up, so if you want to know why they were such a big disappointment, you can go watch that. I don't really want to talk about them anymore. That's how disappointed I am. Biggest surprise. If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English by Noor Naga was a huge surprise. I loved that book, and I went into reading it not knowing anything really. It was a huge surprise for both the plot and what happens, and also for the fact that I really loved it. If you've been thinking about reading that book, I would very much recommend going into it blind, and you'll have a good time. Okay, new favourite author. Miriam Toews. I have only read one of her books, Women Talking, but I think I can just tell that she's going to be someone that I love. Really need to read something of hers ASAP, something more of hers ASAP. And then also Eva Baltazar. She's another one that I've only read one of, but I can just tell that I think I'm going to really enjoy the rest of her books. So also looking forward to reading more from her. Who is your newest fictional crush? Gotta say, Mr. Samuel Hamilton from East of Eden by John Steinbeck. Just something about that rugged Irishman who loves his family, loves his wife, loves his kids, a little bit dumb, a little bit naive, yet knows a lot. People love him, people come to him for advice. He knows how to do things with his hands. you can't not fall in love with that character in that book. And I was very sad when he was no longer. Sorry for anyone that hasn't read that book, and I've just spoiled it for you, but it's an old book, not my fault. Newest favorite characters. I chose 3. I chose Lucy from Jamaica Kincaid's Lucy. Loved her, spoken about her before on here. She is who I wished I was when I was that age, 18, and she's just fierce and so strong-willed and knows who she is, or at least knows what she wants if she doesn't know who she is quite yet. Also Lee from East of Eden, loved his character, thought he brought a really caring warmth to the Trask household that they were missing, and yeah, found it interesting that the boys got this real maternal kind of caring role from a Chinese man who worked as, yeah, basically their housekeeper. And then obviously Kathy as well from East of Eden. She was a character that as I was reading that book, I just could not wait until she came up again, because she was so intriguing and so evil and so just mysterious and hard to understand, and I just wanted to try to understand her, even though I don't think we do, and I think that's the point. Yeah, I just could not wait until she came up. Okay, next we have a book that made you happy. How to Loiter in a Turf War definitely is a book that makes me happy and made me happy when I was reading it. It's joyful, it's funny, it will make you laugh out loud. Yeah, loved it. And then I think, like, this is going to sound weird, but Women Talking, even though it was a very dark material that was dealing with the story in itself being quite a hard one to have to read, I loved the way that the characters, the diplomacy of this decision that they're making and the way that they did it, just, I don't know, it made me proud to be a woman and know that this is the kind of way that I would want to be led in a community and society, with just logical, considered, but still very caring and considerate decision making. That whole part of that story just made me very, very happy, even though it was like horrific, and the circumstances around which they're making this decision are extremely terrible. I think it showed the resilience that these women have and the way that they were able to still make sound decisions for the betterment of their children and their community. Also, in the same kind of similar vein, Beloved by Toni Morrison. Horrific story, but loved the writing, loved the playfulness that Morrison gives to her characters and the way that they communicate, and the sing-songy nature of the story as a whole. Yeah, just loved that. Made me smile and laugh and quite happy at certain times. Best screen adaptation. So the only one that I have read and seen this year is Women Talking. I watched it just recently on a plane, and yeah, thought it was really good. I thought that the way that they captured the story on screen was really fitting, and nothing felt lost in that adaptation, which I really appreciated. The next one is Most Beautiful Book. Now, I never know if this question is about books that have come out this year or books that you've acquired this year. So I'm just going to go with books I acquired this year, because these three were just sitting quite close by, but I do quite like them. The first one is The Imitation of the Rose by Clarissa Lispector. This is just a cute little cloth-bound hardcover with like an interesting little still life outline, kind of repeated on itself to make this interesting pattern, and then some flowery rose vines things. Anyway, I just thought it was cute and I quite like that. So that one is the first. This one is probably one of the most beautiful covers I've ever seen. It's The Awakening by Kate Chopin. So it's a collection of short stories, and it has this gorgeous painting by Egon Schiele. I can't say his last name, I'm sorry. But yeah, it's just this woman sort of sitting on the floor with a bent knee. It's just beautiful. I love his work and really love these vintage covers with old artwork. And then the last beautiful book that I think I purchased in the last year is The Mayor of Leipzig by Rachel Kushner. Another cloth-bound hardcover book. But this one has like a silver foil on the front. And I picked this up in Sydney just a couple of weeks ago, but I love this book so much. I've already read it and I have wanted to own it for the longest time, but I just never could find it here in New Zealand. So when I saw it, I was like, gotta have it. And yeah, it's just one to have in the collection, I think. And I think it is very beautiful. So those are my beautiful books that I have purchased in the last year. The last question for the, what are we doing? Mid-year freakout tag is, what book do you need to read by the end of the year? I mean, so many books. I need to read a lot, but I really want to read some Shirley Jackson this year, so I think We Have Always Lived in the Castle is definitely going to be my spooky Halloween read this year. And then M Train by Patti Smith, because I really need to read some Patti Smith. And it's on my 23 books for 2023 list, so here we go. Okay, that is the mid-year freakout tag questions. Now we're quickly going to do a little check-in very quickly to see where we're at with my overall reading and some of my reading challenges that I've set for myself. So as of the 30th of June, I had read 43 books. Cool. Yep, moving on. I have 5-star reads. I've given 7 books 5-star reads this year, so I think if I can rattle off the top of my head, How to Lord in a Turf War, Women Talking, Beloved, Lucy, yeah, I think, and then the other 3 will be East of Eden, If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English, and Medea by Rachel Cusk, which is a retelling. Those are my 5-star reads of the year so far, I think, yeah. My average star rating is 3.77. I believe this has gone up slightly, so books are getting better, if anything. The longest and shortest books that I've read, the longest book, East of Eden, it's 600 pages, and the shortest book is still Simple Passion by Annie Ernaux at 56 pages. I doubt there's going to be a book to knock that little guy off that little book pedestal, because 56 pages is pretty small. Okay, now to my overall reading challenges. Let's start with the 23 for 2023 challenge. So I, at the beginning of the year, selected 23 books that I wanted to read in 2023. I've done a video on these, kind of going over them. If you want to see that, I'll link it down below. So obviously I have to read 23 books. So if I've read 8, and we're over halfway of the year, so not good. Yeah, we're at 35%. So we need to hustle. We need to get a move on. We need to start getting through some of those because It's not a good percentage to be at this point, I don't think. Okay, next challenge I have given myself this year is to read the rest of Rachel Cusk's catalogue that I haven't already read, which at the beginning of the year there were 12 of her books that I hadn't yet read. So of the 12 books, I have read 5, which sits us at 42%. So just a little bit under halfway, not a crazy amount behind on this one. If I can read 2 books this month, I will be good, but I probably need to like get a hustle on and maybe read a couple more just to kind of like give myself a buffer. So yeah, not so worried about that one. Know that I'll get to them at some point. Cusk is always someone that I enjoy, so it doesn't feel like a thing that I'm dreading, if you know what I mean. And then my overall reading goal for the year was 100 books, a big number, and as of now I am at 44 books, so we're at 44%. I am behind quite a bit. I think 8 books is what Storygraph is telling me, so yeah, feeling like I've got a lot of catching up to do, and I'm not making it easy for myself, but I'm determined to get there. Maybe we need to chuck in some tiny book challenges. Jessica, I'm talking to you. Maybe I need to do another 24-hour reading vlog, but actually not fuck up the audio this time. Yeah, I need to do some little challenges for myself within the next few months to kind of get back up there and feel confident again that we could make this, because I really want to make it happen. I know it's not all about numbers, but I don't know, when I set my mind to something and I want to do it, there's like a certain part that I will get to, I'll be like, I'm just going to give up, but I'm determined not to with this. I really, really, really want to try and get to 100, so I need to buckle in. I need to buckle in, and I need to get some work going. That is my mid-year freakout tag answers and my little check-in to see how things are tracking. Not great, but feeling optimistic and like we can pick this up and kind of make up some lost numbers, okay? That's what we're going to try to achieve. Thank you for watching. Let me know how your reading's going, how you're feeling, how you're tracking. What's one book that you want to read before the end of the year? Let me know. We'll help each other get to the end and celebrate when we get there. Okay, bye.